Hello everyone, back to you in today's video. You're going to have a look at when it's week 10 days for today's video. It takes us to around the 26th of October, so we're going into the sort of last week of the month with this update. We'll start off though dealing with the remains of Hurricane Ophelia. Ex-Hurricane Ophelia is bringing disruptive weather to parts of Ireland as we speak, and very windy conditions to western parts of the United Kingdom as well, and there's more to come through the course of this afternoon. So we'll deal with the remains of Hurricane Ophelia first, and we'll have a look at weather for the next week to 10 days. We'll start off with satellite picture from weathercentral.de, and you can see the lovely hook of cloud here to the south and southwest of Ireland that was formerly Hurricane Ophelia, now just an area of low pressure. Of course, ex-Hurricane Ophelia bringing currently gusts of wind to 80 miles an hour to the far southern and southwestern tip of the Republic of Ireland. And we'll see gusts of wind in other parts of Western Britain going up to around 60-70 miles an hour through the course of this afternoon. As those stormy winds push up the western side, and eventually it's all going to finish up giving you a wet and windy evening to Scotland. You see we've got this trailing sort of area of cloud through the United Kingdom today. We're getting some very strange looking skies being reported. I've had a few pictures sent to me. So this was posted by Neil at the comment box in Gaz Weathervids. I think Neil is in the Midlands. So you see the reddish tint to the sun there within the sky. This picture was emailed to me by Mark Kanish up in the Wirral area near Liverpool. Again, very red tint to the sky and to the sun. This is from Keith Farrow in Wiltshire. I saw this on Twitter. So again, very much sort of reddish tint to the sky and to the sun. And this one is from Gareth Jones, who I believe is in, where is Gareth? So in Southport. And again, you see very reddish tint to the sky and to the sun. As well. Apparently this is a combination of the clouds associated with ex-Hurricane Ophelia, and there's also an element of Saharan dust in the atmosphere as well, because we've got southerly winds coming up on the eastern side of this area of low pressure. I'll just show you the low pressure there. So that is the storm system to the southwest of Ireland. On the eastern side of this, we're dragging up the air from a very long way south, actually from North Africa. So that's the reason that we're getting these very strange looking skies. It's a combination of Saharan dust within the atmosphere and also the clouds associated with this storm that generated and had its life in the tropical Atlantic Ocean. So really strange day's weather going on today. This latest radar picture is looking, this from weatheroutlook.com. So, oh, and just to say that if you get any pics and you'd like to have them featured in videos, there's a few ways you can do that. You can either email them to gazweathers@gmail.com. You can also post them in the comment box at Gaz Weathervids. You have to sign up for a Discuss account to do that, but you can post your pictures there. And also we're on Twitter and Facebook, so you can share your pictures there as well on our social media accounts. So if we get time, we're always happy to feature the pictures in the videos. So this is the radar picture from the Weather Outlook. Quite a lot of heavy rain currently across the northern east parts of Scotland, in particular showery other parts of Scotland. Otherwise, a lot of dry weather. There are a few spits and spots of rain coming out of these very strange red skies across England and Wales. And some of those spit spots of rain are depositing the Saharan dust down on the surface as well. But otherwise, it's generally dry across England and Wales. You see, we have got quite a bit of rain down across Ireland. Of course, that's associated with the centre of this intense storm system. So what about the winds? Well, this is the latest from XC Weather. So our latest maximum gust so far today is at 97 miles an hour, and presumably that's going to be somewhere down across this southern tip of the Republic of Ireland. You see those huge red arrows, big red arrows, indicating that obviously is where the strongest winds are. So we're up to virtually up to around 100 mile an hour gusts now in the very far southern and southwestern tip of the Republic of Ireland. Elsewhere across Ireland, we're sort of seeing gusts of wind around 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. You see the arrows get smaller, but further north we go, so up to Northern Ireland, not too bad at the moment, but these strong winds will be pushing northwards across Ireland into Northern Ireland through the course of this afternoon. We've also got some very strong winds down across the southwest of the country. So, for example, Newquay, we're seeing gusts between 32 and 48 miles an hour, and if we carry on up the Irish Sea, see some quite big red arrows there. Not too bad at the moment across Scotland, southwest Scotland, northwest England. The winds are still reasonably light here, but they will be picking up through the course of this afternoon. And it's also going to become pretty windy, even in the Midlands into southeastern parts of the country, where we're not too concerned about wind. I think we will be seeing gusts this afternoon into this evening going up to around 40 miles an hour in places, to probably between around 30 and 40 miles an hour. So even through the Midlands and the southeast, it's going to be turning windy this afternoon, but the damaging winds look like they're going to be particularly across the north and west. Despite the wind, it's very warm, so look at these temperatures. We've got our maximum temperature today at 25 degrees, which is down there. Actually, it's off the UK, it's across the northern parts of France. But 25 degrees can't be ruled out somewhere in the southeast through the next couple of hours. For example, Southend is at 23 degrees right now, and Stansted at 22 degrees. So we're hovering around London City Airport around 23 degrees. So we're hovering around 22, 23 at the moment. It's very possible that in the next couple of hours we might see those temperatures go to around 25, 77 Fahrenheit in the far southeast and southeastern part of the country. Notice much, much cooler in the north at Tulloch Bridge there in Scotland, just 8 degrees. And if we carry on northwards out in Nahara, 8 degrees as well. And it's pretty cool across parts of Ireland as well. So it's sort of talking about mid-teens Celsius here across Ireland. And that cooler air is going to be pushing across the country once this storm clears out of the way through the course of tonight. So tomorrow, if you don't like very warm weather, hot temperatures in the middle of autumn, if you don't like that, if you think autumn should be a cooling season, I can assure you tomorrow it will start to feel properly like autumn. So this is how the GFS is forecasting things on its latest run with this storm. Very, very deep, nasty area of low pressure to the southwest of Ireland right now, bringing those storm force winds into the southern part of the Irish Republic. And it's going to carry on through the course of this afternoon. There's the upper air temperatures, and just look how warm these upper air temperatures are. Quite extraordinary to the 16th of October. So we've got the 15 Celsius isotherm clearing England and Wales. And what that means, put that in context, if you see that 15 Celsius isotherm in July, if it was 3 months ago, we'd be talking about temperatures going close to 90 Fahrenheit today in the south and the southeast. Because it's so late in the year, we just can't get to that level of heat. But I say 25 degrees in the southeastern part of the country in the next hour or two is certainly a possibility. Notice all of the cooler air that's out to the north and western side of this storm, and it is the temperature gradient partly that is fueling this storm system, and this cooler air will be sweeping away all of these very high temperatures in the next few hours. So this is how we see things at midday. Again, this cooler air starting to move into west, still very, very warm. But time of year goes up to upper air temperatures in the east. And then through the course of this afternoon, we see that cooler air beginning to get dragged in across the country as the wind turns from the south through to the west. And by the way, let's just go back and have a look at that. So you can see if we go down here that the air has originated from North Africa. So that's Spain and Portugal just there. North Africa is just there. This heat, these hot upper air temperatures have pushed up from North Africa. That's the reason we've got Saharan dust in the air. So that's how things are looking at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Severe gales across island. Many parts of Ireland getting real battering at that point. Strong winds moving up the Irish Sea as well, certainly up to gale force, possibly 1 or 2 places going into severe gale force. Through the course of tonight, we find that low pressure heading more towards Scotland, so that's its position by 6 o'clock in the morning. Things calming down across Ireland by then. The worst will be over through the course of this evening and overnight. The wet weather and windy weather moves up to Scotland, and just traditional wet and windy conditions, nothing to be overly alarmed about. Away from western southwestern Scotland this afternoon will be unpleasant, but it's just going to be standard wet and windy fare for much of Scotland tonight and tomorrow. That's how the upper air temperatures are looking by 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. Obviously much, much cooler as those hot upper air temperatures are shoved away into the continent. So that's Ophelia dealt with, and of course, if you are at all concerned about Hurricane Ophelia, then, or the remains of Hurricane Ophelia, I should say, then do please check out the weather warnings on the UK Met Office website. We don't issue severe weather warnings at Gaz Weathers. We aren't qualified to do that. The UK Met Office is always a place to go if you're worried about your property, or if you're travelling about, worried about your life and safety. UK Met Office weather warnings are always a place to go if you are concerned. And it's same in Ireland. I know you have people watching from Ireland, so please go to the Met Aaron website, and you will again be able to see Met Aaron website, I should say. You'll be able to see the severe weather warnings there as well. Right, moving on to next week's 10 days then, and these are the upper air temperatures for the next couple of weeks. So we find, with GFS ensembles, we find we've got the red line here, which is a 30-year temperature average. There's the warm temperatures got at the moment, very, very significantly above average, over 10 degrees above average in terms of the upper air temperatures. We should be there. We are up here somewhere, but it's downhill all the way with these upper air temperatures, very much sliding way. So by the time you get through to the weekend, actually going a bit cooler than average, and after that, looks like we stick close to the 30-year temperature average. So a big plunge in temperature coming up over the coming week, back certainly close to average, maybe even a little bit below. And I'm sure your eyes will have turned to these precipitation spikes. So loads of rain coming up as well over next week. It looks like we're going into a very wet period. Lot of wind, lots of rain coming up, and much cooler temperatures. It certainly is going to feel like we are in autumn once we get today out of the way. This is from theweatheroutlook.com. This is the 10-day precipitation total, and you can forecast from a GFS, and you can see that we're forecasting anything between around 80 to 120 millimetres of rain in the next 10 days in the western part of the country. Not as bad in the east, but even there we're talking about 40 to 60 millimetres of rain in the next 10 days. So it does look like we're in for a proper wet old time of it. Temperature anomalies for the next week looking like this. So significantly warmer than average through most parts of Europe. The UK is included. I expect these to start to cool down a bit over the next few days. We'll keep an eye on them through the week. I suspect these will cool, especially for northern and western parts of Europe. Precipitation anomalies from the 16th, 24th of October coming out wetter than average for the UK. This is how the GFS is looking for Friday then. Got an area of low pressure over the country. Looks like you're going to have some quite wet weather on Thursday and Friday. Notice this area of low pressure down to the southwest of the country. That becomes a very significant feature as we run through Friday into Saturday. That looks pretty horrendous, I have to say, on Saturday. That's bringing severe gales across much of England and Wales this time, and also a lot of heavy driving rain as well. That low pressure moving away to the east as we go through into Sunday, but certainly keeping it windy and at the very least showery, if not with longer spells of rain. A brief respite through the early part of next week doesn't last long. Low pressure is around the country. There's weather fronts in there as well, producing outbreaks of rain as we go through next week. We go up to day 10 and perhaps go a little bit beyond day 10, and we find the wind turning into the northwest as low pressure finally starts to exit away to the south and the east. We build a bit of a ridge in from the north and the west. That might give us quite a cold end to October, and we might have to think a little bit about frost and fog perhaps coming along for the final few days and nights of October. East India finally, so it looks very unsettled as we go through into the second half this week. This chart for midnight on Friday. Low pressure across the country bringing showers or longer spells of rain. Look at that area of low pressure lurking down to the southwest of the country as we go through into Saturday. That's bringing wet and windy weather, quite stormy weather potentially across many parts of the country on Saturday. And into Sunday, low pressure is dominant, so it's going to be very unsettled, cool, wet and windy. Through the course of next week, try to raise pressure a little bit to the southwest, but this looks very unsettled really. There's fronts within the flow here strung out, ripples of rain running along those fronts, and it looks quite unsettled, if not overly cool, for southern parts of the country. And through the course of next week, we keep it unsettled, although it's not cold. The upper air temperatures are reasonably warm there still. Nothing like we've got at the moment, but reasonably warm upper air temperatures through the course of next week down in the south. But it generally does look a lot more unsettled, I think, over the next few days, and particularly focusing on potentially quite a nasty storm on Saturday. That could be our next UK Met Office named Storm Brian, so we'll have to keep a lookout for that. So once we get today's remains of Ophelia out of the way, we're descending very rapidly into a proper spell of autumnal wet and windy conditions through the rest of the week and into the weekend, and it looks like it's staying unsettled into next week as well. Right, that's brought you up to date. Don't forget, if you are at all concerned about the winds, do check out the severe weather warnings at the UK Met Office, and just take care if you're off out and about in the west through the course of this afternoon or this evening. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.